Welcome back. Joining us now is Stephen Risch from Newen Incorporated. Stephen's going to share some stuff with us today, folks, on the seating of valves and how important that is. And he's going to show us some new technology that they've introduced to make sure we get accuracy in these seating valves. First off, Stephen, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Talk to us, our viewers out there. We've got a lot of people interested. We've got muscle car guys out there and gals. We've got racers out there. They know the importance of valve seating and the accuracy. You've told me a lot about this piece of equipment. Explain that to me a little bit on what this does, new technology-wise, than maybe some of the things of yesteryear.
Okay, well, what we've done here is we've moved away from form tools. Traditionally, it's gone from grinding seats, which is basically grinding one angle at a time, to using a form tool, which incorporates 3 or more angles and radiuses into the actual cutter. We moved from form tools into what we call fixed turning, and what we're doing here is we're using a single point cutter using a computer with 2 CNC axes built into the spindle, and through interpolation with the software we're able to generate any profile we want with the one cutter. And by doing that, what we're able to do is we're able to eliminate, I'd say, up to 300 times less cutting effort, and what you end up with is a much rounder seat. Much truer angles, no chatter ever. It's impossible to make the machine chatter, which is traditionally a problem with a form tool, especially when you're trying to machine too much with one cutter.
Sure. Creates chatter.
This system here, there's never chatter. I don't care how long the profile is. It can be a ½ inch to 2 or 3 inches. It's still not going to chatter. And in the end, what you're going to get is a seat that circularity-wise is probably within 4 microns, possibly a little bit less, and a concentricity to the valve guide, assuming, of course, the valve guide is in good condition. Concentricity of 10 to possibly 15 microns on average.
You know, we talked a little bit before we went on air that how important it is to have that valve. They'll seat if they're round, but you were saying before that some of the old traditional cutting methods, they came out potato-shaped, even though it wasn't visual to the eye, but how that can rob you of horsepower without having that valve properly seated.
Yeah, typically people, when they talk about performance of the valve job, they talk about it in terms of concentricity. Nobody ever talks about the circularity of the valve seat itself. Not a lot of people even understand what it is, but simply circularity is the roundness of the valve seat. How round is it?
Right.
Even if the machine with a form tool doesn't chatter, because of you're cutting a 30, a 45, a 60, or as well as a couple radiuses included, you've got a lot of cutting efforts there, and the feed rate required on the seat angle versus the top angle are very different. And what you end up with is if you don't have the right reflex and feel, you end up chattering the seat.
Sure.
That's one problem, and then you also have the problem of deflection, and when you get deflection, you end up with a seat that isn't round. And if the seat is not round, I don't care how concentric the valve is to the seat, it's not going to seal, and you're going to lose horsepower.
You're going to lose horsepower if they don't seal correctly. Folks, you know that when a valve is not seating properly, too much of the horsepower will escape through the head. This piece of equipment that Stephen's telling us about will solve that. So for your engine builders out there, this is definitely a piece of equipment that you're going to want. Now, go ahead, Steve.
Even cutting the same profile with a form tool versus this, just increasing the geometry of the valve seat, already you can pick up horsepower. Not even talking about changing the angles and the radiuses, but that's another advantage of this machine is you can cut any profile you can imagine with the one cutter. You don't have to order a special cutter, wait 2 weeks, try it, see if it increases horsepower or not, and then start over again. It's a very long process. With this machine, the R&D is so much quicker. And another advantage of the machine is you're actually able to cut venturis with this machine. And what I mean by that is you can actually cut larger on the bottom of the seat than the top, which is impossible with a form tool.
And that's all turnkey with that cutter right there.
Absolutely.
One of the things, too, that's nice about CNC equipment, folks, you've got a computer screen here as well. They can monitor what's going on while this operation is taking place?
Absolutely. And unlike most machining centers or most CNC machines, our software is conversational. An operator doesn't know how to program in G-code, which is typically the way it's done on a 5 or 7-axis machining center. Here it's conversational. It's very simple. You simply tell the machine a few things, and the machine takes over from there.
Very unique, and obviously that cutting system is very unique, very slick. And by the way, saves a lot of time, too, changing tools all the time. That's a big overhead eater right there.
You can actually go from intake to exhaust on the fly, assuming the guide is the same size. The machine will set up different diameters, change the profile completely automatically. The software controls all that for you.
So it sounds to me like, Stephen, this thing will pay for itself in a hurry with not only its accuracy, customer satisfaction, cutting back on overhead, cutting back on the amount of tooling that you need. This thing pays for itself in a short period of time.
Oh, absolutely. It pays for it in more ways than one. What you get with the machine is you get speed. It's considerably quicker than form tools. What I mean by that is typically with a form tool, to be able to blend below the seat, then cut the seat, and then open up the combustion chamber and blend everything together, that's typically 3 different steps with a form tool. And it's a constant back and forth, back and forth. That takes a lot of time. If you can do that in one step and design the perfect profile on screen, modify something slightly, get it exactly the way you want it, it's in there forever, and you can simply go into the valve seat and push one button and the machine does everything for you.
It's fantastic. Well, it's obvious that our viewers out there, our engine builders, anybody in the machining business that's dealing with the heads and whatnot, needs this type of equipment. Steve, tell our viewers and friends out there how they can get in touch with you.
You can always call Newen at 858-457-9664, or you can go to newen.com and you can contact us that way as well.
They need this equipment, don't they?
I think so. I think most shops can definitely benefit by this.
Does a great job, saves money, saves overhead. And folks, the other thing too, engine builders out there, this is accurate. It's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of money. You don't have to put a lot of money out there for tooling. Make sure you get in touch with these fine folks from Newen.